Sin, an FPS game that was trying to compete with Half-Life that vanished. From its beginnings trying to beat Half-Life to the punch, to later just ripping off Half-Life, and even getting its own anime. Let's take a look into the rise and fall of Sin. Makes it sound like I'm going to talk about something biblical, like sin. This game never took off in popularity, but still has a cult following to this day. Some of those followers are FPS heads and boomer shooter lovers, but there's a big chunk of this fan base, like myself, that came from Inside Gaming. I found out about this game, specifically its sequel, Sin Episodes Emergence, in like 2013 or 2014, after Inside Gaming did a Steam Roulette video, and randomly stumbled upon this game and played it. It's one of my favorite Let's Play series, and it's so funny. The game is a little broken, and these guys found even more ways to break it, and make fun of the terrible AI on the enemies.
Oh god!
Oh, run! It's gonna explode.
I didn't even do anything. Still here, Blade.
When he's all, not here, Blade, and then he got shot in the head.
They all quietly are hoping for the end.
Come back here, Blade! Freeze, Blade! I like how they all know your name. Nice shot, Blade.
I'm behind this barrel, Blade!
It's highly flammable,
Yeah.
Blade.
That's their wish. They all want to be dead.
I have a weak skull, Blade!
I had surgery on my brain, Blade.
Thanks for the sweet release of death, Blade! I'll find you, Blade! I know you are. You can't run from me.
I know you're there, Blade.
Psst, Blade, if you're here, kill me.
It's Over Blade is just always living rent-free in my head. But even Inside Gaming, that turned into Funhaus, had its rise and fall, and also had some controversies over a certain employee. And then like Sin, it also vanished. But I'm here to talk about Sin, and not Funhaus. RIP. After I watched the Let's Play in 2014, I bought the game on Steam, and it came with Sin Gold, Sin Multiplayer, and Sin Episodes Emergence. I played like 1 hour of Emergence in 2014, and then never touched any of them again, until the year 2025, where after rewatching the Let's Play, I decided to go back and play these games, and give my opinion on them. So, I started with Sin Gold. So Sin Gold is a republished version of Sin that hit PC storefronts in 2020. I bought these games in 2014, so I assumed they upgraded my old version of Sin to Sin Gold. The gold version comes with the DLC, Wages of Sin, which I didn't know about and only played the main game. But Sin was released for the PC back in 1998. It was developed by Ritual Entertainment using a modified version of the Quake 2 engine. It's an FPS set in a cyberpunk city where you take control of a badass named John Blade. The game was met with some positive reviews for its level design, but was criticized for some buggy gameplay, and it was due to its rush in development. And it might have been rushed to come out before Half-Life, but despite its best efforts, Half-Life heavily outsold Sin. Let's hop into the game now. So booting up the game has the most intense opening sequence I've ever seen. I thought I was gonna have a panic attack during this. We start a new game and we're greeted with a cutscene of the inside of a private security force named Hardcorps, where our playable character John Blade works. He gets called into the action to stop a bank robbery from our main hacker homie JC. The next scene reminds me of a cheesy action movie from the 80s. I just gotta let it play in full so you can see how ridiculous it is.
Hey, that was a good shot.
That's nothing compared with last week. I shot this cop in the head. He never even saw it coming.
Yeah, those rent-a-cop guys are wimps.
Hey, what's that sound?
Surprise!
After that, we get to mow down these robbers from the helicopter before hopping down into the bank. Moving around for the first time feels pretty smooth. The movement feels pretty fast and responsive, and I really liked it. Then when it came to the combat, it felt pretty good too. The gunplay was good, and I was overall enjoying it. I don't know why, but when I would click on one of the extra buttons I had on my mouse, it would just unlock every single weapon in the game, and some of them were pretty OP, so I definitely used this to my advantage. It spoiled me with a weapon, which was one of these weird mutant-looking hand things, but they were super OP. I loved to use them. I then made my way through the bank, killing some more robbers along the way, and I was really enjoying the game. The level design was pretty good, and despite the old graphics, there was some cool looking stuff. It had a cool cyberpunk aesthetic to it that I kind of fucked with. I also really like the loading screen models, which kind of made me nostalgic for the show Reboot. I got lost a few times in the bank too. You can hit tab to view your current objective, but maybe I'm just stupid and was missing stuff along the way. The first thing that gave me trouble was the machine gun turrets on the wall. They were just destroying my health and armor. You can't destroy these turrets, but you can destroy other ones, but these ones have to be disabled from a computer terminal that you can find around the map. There are lots of other security measures and objectives that can be interacted with using these terminals as well. There are some of the bank employees who you can save from being hostages, and I accidentally killed a few, and JC will get mad at you, and you will lose out on a secondary objective for the game. I did run into a few of the female employees, and Jesus Christ, the physics, and also the swimsuit calendars everywhere, but I'll leave that alone for now. We then find a tunnel in the bank vault that this gang is using to make an escape with, and we hop down in there to follow them. I like how this game is set in the far distant future of 2037 and there's all this crazy tech, but the bank is still pretty much all the same. It's funny to see from a world now where physical cash is starting to fade away. So far the game plays pretty well, and I like the commentary from Blade and JC throughout the game.
Hey Blade, give him hell.
You got it. Okay, Chief, let's punch it.
It's just like all the cheesy Duke Nukem lines I enjoyed as a kid. Anyways, we make our way through some tunnels into the gang's safe house. There's some platforming in this level, and I have to say that this isn't the worst platforming I've seen in the game, but it's definitely not this game's strong suit. You escape a room with a bomb in it by jumping up a few platforms, which isn't too bad, but after finding some more enemies, you gotta scale these buildings by jumping across them, or by walking across super small ledges. They were so small I didn't even think I could stand on them, but I was able to, and also fell off a few times, which led me to scale these buildings from the bottom all the way to the top again. After navigating these abandoned buildings, we jump over to the next level, which starts with a cutscene that introduces the main villain of the series. And this is why I wanted to save the talk about the titty physics. Because Alexis Sinclair, our main villain, who is the head of the company Syntech, is also the head of giant bouncing tits. Now this game got criticism and also praise for this character. Some reviewers at the time were all horned up praising her sexiness, some were hyped up having a sex symbol in gaming, and some were pissed off saying she was over-sexualized to the point of deformity. Now, I'm not against games with sexual content in it. I've played my fair share of anime titty games, but not every female character has to be sexualized. Just like how every female or person in the real world has to be sexualized, but they have a choice to express their sexuality. I can get into this for a while, but I'm here to talk about Sin. I'm fine with Alexis having her titties bounce around, and I can understand why some people wouldn't like it. I just find it lame when people get mad and like freak the fuck out about female characters not being up to their beauty standards. It's fucking lame. Go watch Mega64's video about Stellar Blade. Sorry, back to Alexis. She's the head of Syntech, that is a biotech company, and she injects one of her gooners with something and he gets all fucked up and crawls away. We then take control of Blade and get jump scared from an enemy jumping out from a dumpster, which I think was to show the player that these can be open and closed since you have to close one to get up to a ladder. We then fight some more enemies along the level, and we even get to use a wrecking ball and a forklift to put some holes in some walls. I didn't think Blade was chill like that being forklift certified. After moving to the subway station, we then see our gooner that was injected earlier, and he starts turning into some kind of Resident Evil-like mutant, and it's time to start fighting him. He's pretty easy to stun lock with a machine gun, and after he takes a certain amount of damage, he starts running, and you chase him down to a subway train to only shoot him enough to run away again, until you chase him to a populated area where you can finally kill him. Blade brings the mutant back to JC for testing, where they discover Syntech is behind the mutant, and it's up to Blade to figure out what the fuck's going on. Blade is tasked with breaking into one of Syntech's labs to steal a sample of the substance causing the mutations. JC mentions that you are not to be seen by anyone in this lab, and it's really hard not to be seen. This is definitely not a stealth game. The most you can do is crouch and try to track the guards' walk patterns. The guards and the facility workers spot you from weird angles, and when being spotted in this level, alarms ring, which activates security turrets and also alerts the guards to your position. You can disable alarms, and it's almost easier just to get spotted, kill everyone, and then disable the alarms. After the stealth mission, I made my way lower into the Syntech's facilities, fighting more enemies, disabling more security systems, until I found the U4, which is the substance turning people into mutants. You scan it, send it off to JC, and make your escape. You escape the underground facility to end up above ground, just to go into another even deeper underground facility. This has you try to sabotage some of Syntech's bioweapons, but it really doesn't do much because Alexis sends some new mutant enemies on you and makes an escape. And she plans to poison the city's water supply with U4 to turn everyone into mutants. Blade makes his way to the water treatment facility and stops contamination, and fights a giant mutant boss, and realizes that this was just a distraction because while we were doing this, Syntech was just stealing nuclear weapons, so it's time to go deal with that. Blade pulls pulls up to an oil rig at night with a sniper and takes out the enemies from the outside, and goes inside and gets equipped with some scuba gear to start fighting some enemies underwater. You swim along following submarines hauling nuclear weapons. The subs lead you to a tropical island where the weapons are being stashed, and you gotta navigate the island to find Alexis and put a stop to her. You get to make your way across the island on an ATV that controls like absolute ass. The normal controls in this game are pretty smooth and nice, but the ATV feels so janky. The turning is so unresponsive, and I was flying around and dying on this ATV so much. And if I hopped off it, I was just mowed down by enemies because I had low health. So this part was very painful for me. Okay, Blade has fought his way through so many crazy situations so far, and then he gets captured in the dumbest way. Blade gets injected with U4 and turns into a mutant, and I kinda knew this was coming because I've been able to use the mutant hand since the first level. You complete a series of challenges as a mutant and then restore yourself back to being a human. You then escape this facility, and I thought the graphics looked really cool in this spot. It was almost reminiscent of Doom, but also with the cyberpunk look, and I just really liked it. After you get out of here, you enter the home of Alexis Sinclair, and her room pretty much looks like a love hotel from Japan with a bunch of suggestive BDSM things everywhere. We then begin to start disarming the nuclear weapons and interrupt Alexis's business meeting, and we then fight a giant ass mutant for the final boss. Then right when we're about to stop Alexis, she pulls this shit.
I'm willing to bet my life you've never seen anything like this before. Watch.
I don't...
This!
Oh, hell. Whoa, what the? Did I mean, is she... JC, what happened?
The radar's clear. She's gone, Blade. She's gone.
No way! Your crazy bitch got away.
Blade files his report and gets into a little argument with JC, and the game's over. The game does have some DLC that I didn't know existed until I was done playing these games, and I was researching this video, and I don't have time to play it now. It seems to add some new weapons and enemies, and tells the story of a mob boss trying to take control of the city after Syntax disappears with Alexis. I think it'll be fun to play in the future, because overall this game is pretty fun. The controls are so smooth, and I had a lot of fun fighting enemies in such a stylized world. It does get a little repetitive and drawn out near the end, and also suffers from some jankiness from being an older game, but I think it's still pretty solid. Underrated perhaps. I know that Half-Life drew some attention away from this game, but I'm shining my light down on it now, so you should go check it out. I went and checked out the multiplayer as well, and there's no active servers, and I just walked around empty maps, and it was fun just exploring and jumping around. I know you're just dying to know what happens next in the Sin storyline, but before that, let's quickly talk about the Sin anime. Now, I would have never guessed in a million years that this FPS game was turned into an anime. I was genuinely stunned when I found out about it while researching this video. But I mean, this game has all the staples of an OVA that came out in the late 90s and early 2000s. Hyperviolence, gore, and highly sexual moments. I guess it was the perfect IP to make a Ghost in the Shell / Akira knockoff, with a little bit of Resident Evil thrown into the mix too. The anime was created by Phoenix Entertainment and was released on VHS and DVD in the year 2000, and it got some later DVD releases. It was released in Japan and the US with a full English dub, and the movie is just a big old 5 out of 10. If you don't want to be spoiled, you can go watch it on YouTube for free right now. The movie loosely follows the story of the game. The main character is Blade, and he fights against Syntax, but his main reason to stop their mutant takeover is due to them killing JC at the start of the movie, and his sister joins, who's also named JC. Alexis is still the main villain, and there's a supporting villain named Vincenzo. There's just something about an old, low-quality OVA that kind of makes me feel nostalgic, and I just kind of like the way it looks, but that's all the OVA holds for me. Kind of looks a little mysterious, but it's just okay. Let's get into the sequel game now. So the sequel to Sin, titled Sin Episodes Emergence, was released in 2006 for the PC and was planned to be one of 9 episodic games, but that never happened because Ritual Entertainment was sold to a game company called Mumbo Jumbo, and everything Sin was cancelled. Night Dive Studios did acquire the rights to Sin and planned to release a remastered edition of the first game, but that went up in the air too. Now, we talked about the first Sin game competing with Half-Life, while Sin Episodes just straight up copied Half-Life 2. It was made in the Source engine, and many games are made in that engine, but they established themselves with unique gameplay where Sin just kind of swapped out Half-Life 2 assets with Sin ones. The studio had some big big ambitions with this series, wanting to make 9 episodes. And even at E3, they had models dress up as 2 of the characters, and you can win a custom Sin PC. I bought this game after watching the Inside Gaming videos, but played it one time for like less than an hour. So let's take a closer look into Sin Episodes Emergence and determine if we really are missing out on those 8 other games. The game boots up with the craziest song. It really gives me early YouTube Naruto AMV vibes. After starting a new game, we are awoken as Blade, as the 2 main baddies of the game hover over him. The new bad guy Roddick, and returning with their boobs bouncing right in Blade's face, Alexis. They start talking about their villainous plans and are interrupted by the Hard Corps coming in to rescue Blade, with their newly introduced member Jessica Cannon. She helps you out in person throughout the game, and we got JC helping out again through comms. Now Blade and Jessica make an escape from Syntech's facility, and we kind of don't know why Blade was there in the first place, but he was injected with something and he starts to fade out in the car. He starts dreaming of Alexis barely clothed, and then wakes up to Jessica speeding away through a security checkpoint, and then dropping off Blade to go talk with a guy who can help us find Syntech's secret lab. We don't really know exactly what Syntech's up to in this game, but judging by what they did in the first game, it's probably something terrible. When taking control of Blade, we are unarmed and just get to interact with the environment, and it plays and looks exactly like Half-Life 2. And one thing I hate about that is the doors. There's so many doors everywhere, and you can turn the handle to every single one of them, but they don't all open. So a lot of this game is just trying to determine what door is going to open or not. We walk around until we find our man on the inside who's going to help us find the lab, and he talks to you in a cutscene where you can freely walk around, and if you do that in a game, I'm just going to fuck around and not pay attention. He tells you the whereabouts of the lab, and Syntech soldiers show up and start blowing shit up. We make an escape through the sewers and meet up with Jessica, who gives us our first weapon. The combat is just as ridiculous as Inside Gaming made it look. There's so many explosives around the map that the not so smart enemies will blow themselves up with, or just stand next to waiting for you to blow them up. And they're just asking to be shot in the head, especially when they ragdoll and fly around everywhere. When the first one said, "Not yet, Blade," I just couldn't help myself to laugh. The one thing I'm missing from this game from the first one is Blade's voice. He has little to no voice lines in this game, while in the first he was constantly saying lines. After fighting through many enemies, including ones that jetpack around just to explode, and traversing these docks, you finally get to the secret lab to figure out what was injected into Blade. The lab gives you a shotgun and also has this gas that slows down time. You discover that Syntech is making mutants again, and of course they break out and you gotta fight against them. You find Roddick's office and confront him, and he has no idea what you're injected with, other than it's something powerful. He escapes, and then a hologram of Alexis shows up and says that she injected you with something to unleash your potential power, but still doesn't really explain what it is. I then made my escape from the lab, and now it's infested with mutants that are fighting the Syntech soldiers. I saved a few of these Syntech soldiers from these mutants, and they just turned around and started shooting me after. Fucking ungrateful. I also discovered a secret underwater that was a fish that said, "Dope fish lives." I'm assuming that's a reference to a secret in the first game. I discovered a few in the first game, but no dope fish. After making it back above ground, we meet up with Jessica again, and she gives us a machine gun, and we fight this giant mutant. After fighting the mutant, we traverse the map, fighting some more Syntech guards, and then we meet up with Jessica in her car. She absolutely whips the car around, and you can shoot out the passenger seat, and you pull up to Syntech's giant skyscraper, and she just drives straight into it. You then navigate the skyscraper and fight some new enemies. They're just super armored up Syntech guys. Along the way up the tower, Jessica helps you out and then disappears and reappears until you get to the top of the tower, and she somehow was taken by Roddick in his airship. He injects her with some shit and throws her back down, and it's time for a boss fight. One of those giant mutants fights you while Roddick attacks you from his airship. The mutant was pretty easy to fight, but the airship was kind of a pain since it does a lot of damage and it takes forever to shoot it down. After it finally explodes, the game fades to black and it's all over. We get a preview of what's not to come in the next episodes. Jessica's in the hospital, mutants attack the city, and Alexis is behind it all. It rolls to credits, and then we get some really weird shit of the characters saying random voice lines.
Blade's here! Come over! Hey! Dude, Blade's here! Alright! Who the is Blade? Shut up!
They're like, you know what people are gonna love after the credits roll? A bunch of bullshit.
That's it for the game, other than an arena mode. The whole game is super short since they planned to have 9 episodes total that never got made. I tried to see if there was any info on the story of the future games, but I didn't look that hard because I didn't really care about the story of this game. I didn't really care much for Sin Episodes Emergence. It felt really bland and really didn't do much with the source engine, and just kind of felt like a ripoff of Half-Life 2. The only reason I was able to play through the game happily was because it was really short and the combat was a little broken. Shooting the enemies and having them ragdoll while saying stupid voice lines made me laugh. I felt like the first Sin game was more polished and had cool style to it, while Episodes was just Half-Life with a few Sin things thrown into the mix. I do feel accomplished beating this game after all these years, but I probably would have never touched these games if I didn't watch the Inside Gaming videos. I recommend playing Sin Gold for a smooth and stylish FPS experience, and I would recommend Sin Episodes Emergence the same way I'd recommend a bad movie. It's fun, but it doesn't do anything special. Let me know if you played any of these games or watched the Inside Gaming video. It's over, Blade.